We're gonna start big-headed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the What's on Your Mind podcast. We gonna start exactly with what you just said. So there was a story. I got a quick story. I'm not gonna name names, but we're in the podcast room recording this at the State News podcast room, and I was doing my job as podcast coordinator, and there was a 1909 guest on the air for that episode, and she was adjusting the headphones, and they were like, wow, whoever had these headphones last had a real big head. I just looked at them like,
So loud.
That's so crazy, ain't it? Like, if only it was me who was the last one with those headphones.
You're like, damn, who could that be? Whole time it's you. You're like sweating bullets.
She knew what I meant when I said, she's like, oh, my bad. I'm like, it is. You said it, nah.
That's hilarious.
I'm joined with a fabulous guest today.
Thank you.
The wonderful, magnificent Elle Fromm.
Hi, I'm Elle Fromm. I am a friend of Anthony's. I've known Anthony since Halloween of last year, but I feel like we've been friends maybe since like spring of last year, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did I pronounce your last name right, by the way?
You did.
Okay, I was wondering.
Thank you. Not many people do.
Yeah.
People also mess up my first name. My first name is Eloise. I have been called, this is not a joke, Illinois, Eloise, Elise, and my personal favorite, Lois. Because how do you miss the whole first letter?
At that point, they just chose to pronounce it wrong.
Which is why when I was also because my parents basically just named me Eloise because they didn't like naming me Ellie, which is what my whole family calls me. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what my dad named me. He wanted me to be Ellie, but he was like, I want her to have a longer name because it's more, like, I think Ellie's too casual as a first name. So they named me Eloise. So I went by Ellie for years. And then when I was in 8th grade, I switched schools. And at the time, I was really into Legally Blonde. So I was like, I'm calling myself Elle.
Do you want to tell the story on how we met, or shall I? Because you
it's
remember?
Funny.
It's hilarious.
Yes, I remember. I'll tell you this. I like telling it. So I was at this Halloween party with Jada, and that was the first time that my mom had called me Mark, because I didn't know that reference. Mm-hmm. So we were at this Halloween party. I assume your audience know who Jada is.
Yes, if just in case somebody who doesn't, she's been on the podcast a couple times. She's co-host of All Shades of Chocolate. She's a really close friend of mine. She's my girlfriend's twin sister, future doctor. The list goes on. Shout out,
For
Jada.
real.
You're incredible.
She is incredible. So that's how I met you, was through Jada, because she had a Halloween party at her dorm, and there were all these, for the Mark story. I sent my mom a picture. I was like, Halloween party, and my mom was like, oh my God, you're Mark. And I was like, what? So she sends me this TikTok, and it's this audio of this guy going, look at these African Americans and Mark. But
wow.
we rocking with Mark because Mark's rocking with us.
Oh, okay.
So that is the first time I was aware of that joke, and I've been called that many times since. Like, I'll send my mom pics, and she's like, Mark again. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. These are my friends. So yeah, I was at the Halloween party, and Janae, who I was introduced to, I think that's the first time I met Janae, as Jada's twin sister. She was dressed as Jessica Rabbit. And at one point, her boob was, like, falling out of the costume. Like, her costume was set up so that her boob was, like, one was a little bit more out than the other. But it was, like, to the point where her corset needed to be relaced. Mm-hmm. And we asked the guys to, like, leave so that we could help her. And Anthony was like, what if I stayed? And then everybody kind of laughed, and then he left. And then later, I found out that was Janae's boyfriend.
So imagine me from my perspective, because I frequently joke with Janae like that. And in my mind, everyone there knew that I was her boyfriend. So that's why, like, when y'all laughed, I'm like, okay, cool, they got the joke. Later on, Elle's like, Janae, we're talking to Elle, and then she introduced me as her boyfriend. You just see like
I thought he was just crazy horny.
And like, to this day, I'm like, oh my God, I am so glad, one, we're friends, but like, she found out I was her boyfriend, because I can imagine just a random dude there be like, no, I'm gonna just stay while she's fixing her boob or her wardrobe malfunction. Like, that's so odd.
I was like, who is this guy? Why did they invite him? Why does he does he just really want to see titties? Like, I was baffled. And then I was like, oh, that makes sense. And you were like, yeah, I would never would have said that.
Yeah, I would. So I still feel bad, and I'm still with her, and we friends now. But
yeah, we're friends. But it was funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious. But ever since then, what was you about to say?
The second time I met Sam at Jada and Janae's birthday party, I didn't recognize him because the first time I met him, he was dressed as Jesus. And I am not great with names, so I had met, like, Megan and Jazz. I'd met a lot of those people for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done studies about cross-racial identification and how it's harder for white people to tell the difference between black faces.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh my God, I'm Mark. Like, I can't, like, I was like, who? I'm just not good with names. So I met Sam again, and I was like, oh, Jesus. That's who you, yeah. So
that is also another hilarious fact that he dressed up as Jesus.
Well, and then when I texted my mom the pic, she said, you're Mark, and then she was like, why is Jesus holding a bottle of Hennessy? And I was like, hey, because he couldn't turn water into wine, so he turned it into Hennessy.
So with having you on this show, I'm really thankful that you sat and took the time to be on my podcast right after we recorded our new Sex and Love podcast, a part of the State News called Going Deeper. Do you want to give a bit details about that as far as being a co-host of a podcast for the first time, if I'm not mistaken, and having a podcast about sex and love?
So I get flack when I say this. I don't like podcasts, and here I am. I'm a host of one. I'm a guest on yours. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. I need, like, visual input when I watch something. So I also don't like audiobooks. Okay. For the record, I do think audiobooks are incredibly important accessibility-wise. Like, there's a lot of people who are, like, if you're dyslexic or you're blind, or even if you just don't like the physical act of reading, but you still want to read. Like, I'm not saying audiobooks shouldn't exist. I'm just saying I don't like them. Because for me, I can read a lot faster than I can listen.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when it comes to podcasts, there are just so many of them. And I'm so confused by all of them. And then the examples I always see of podcasts are always just like Andrew Tate and other, like, red pill, you know. Oh, I forgot I'm allowed to curse on this one. Like, just misogynistic motherfuckers. Like, and they're just like, it sends it out. Their audience is like young boys, and they just end up violently misogynistic, and it's sad. So when I was like, oh, maybe I should start a podcast, because, like, Anthony has a podcast. He's pretty good as podcast. Pretty good. And by pretty good, I mean very good. As podcast coordinator. So, like, a Sex and Love podcast is something I'd be interested in starting. So we were able to get that going. We just recorded our first episode. If we start talking about the history of the episode, then, that shit was like an hour and 10 minutes long. So we're going to talk for another hour and 10 minutes. So I won't go into that, but that's about that. And more things about just my friendship with you and just meeting you. We are very similar people. I said this on the last podcast, but, like, we are two sides of the same coin in many respects. Like, I know we both talk a lot. We both are pretty open to talking about a lot of subjects that maybe other people wouldn't be. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with those people, but, like, we click in a very, like, we will have conversations where other people will either laugh or get embarrassed or be like, oh, and we're just like, oh, am I supposed to not talk about this? Like,
yeah.
Am I supposed to be ashamed right now? Like, because it just doesn't really register for either of us. So, and I said this on the last podcast too, but a story that stuck with me was you saying that you asked so many questions as a kid that your teachers used to tell you you could only ask 10 a day, and I thought that was so sad.
10? That's generous. It was like 5.
That's so sad.
Yeah, and that's still, to this day, like, luckily I have people around me in my life who tell me, like, correct me and tell me it's a good thing, but I still be like, no, I'm not going to ask too many questions, or like, I always say, like, it's a bad thing, and people tell me, like, no, that's, especially as a journalist, but just as a person in general, never shame your curiosity or just shame your questions. And Elle was one of those people who's also told me something similar, so I thank you for that as well.
Yeah, and I just, especially because I've worked with kids. I've been a nanny and a babysitter. Nanny for, like, 4 years now, babysitter since I was, like, 13. So working with kids, you never want to take away a child's passion for learning. Mm-hmm. So if they're in school and they're focused and engaged and they want to know more, I mean, I get that you have a set time. You know, you can't just have one person ask questions a whole. I get that maybe they're taking you off topic, but to say that they shouldn't ask questions is just sad. Because I hope that didn't diminish your school experience or your love of learning. Because
definitely did.
That's so sad.
Yeah. It was a weird relationship because I never stopped, but I was ridiculed for it for a very long time. So it made me, like, scared to ask questions, especially as I got older, and, like, the horizon amount of questions I could ask and just things I could learn about, and, like, things like like weren't really like people were comfortable talking about, or like things that were taboo. As I got older and like I started getting into those type of topics, I got even more scared because I'm like, okay, one, people may not be comfortable being asked these type of questions, but when is it okay to talk about these things? Is it never okay? We was talking of the last podcast and just in general with it being a Sex and Love podcast, we mentioned like things like sex in general, masturbation, or just knowing about your body wasn't the norm, at least for us.
No, not at all.
And it was hard, especially on my end, to learn these type of things as I got older. And even still to this day, I ask so many questions about just female anatomy or women's bodies or just male bodies, and just doing a lot of research.
Within a respectful context. He's not just out asking here about women's bodies. That'd be insane.
No, definitely not. And when I say that, I'm mainly referring to talking to Elle, like asking her questions, or just like being very communicating a lot with my girlfriend, or just doing my own research, or just trying to learn, because these things weren't taught to me. And like I'm learning, I started learning a lot of things like once I got to college, and that's a pretty late time to like learn a lot, especially about yourself. But just I'm thankful for people like Elle, whether it's questions about sex or whether it's random things, that she's open enough to answer those type of questions and even be vulnerable enough to tell me like she shares some of her experiences.
Thank you. Yeah. And that the question thing, I know I keep coming back to that about you in school, that came up because I was telling you about a linguistics course I took. Here's what you need to know about me. I am very particular with language. So I remember I got a copy when I first became a copy editor at State News. My cousin was like, "Oh, it's perfect for you. You're getting paid to correct people," because I correct people all the time, and I've gotten a lot better with it. Because it turns out that when you try to tell everybody the difference between farther and further, you don't make a lot of friends. But also, correcting people a lot can be really condescending. Because I never do it in a malicious way. I do it in a language is so fascinating to me. Let me tell you about why you're wrong, because isn't that interesting? And they see it as like, I'm in the middle of a sentence and you're telling me that I'm wrong, and that makes me feel bad.
I have a very interesting question to ask you. With knowing this about you, does how people use antisocial bother you?
No.
Because it bothers me, because if you look up the definition of antisocial, when people use it, they're saying like, "Oh, I don't really like talking to people." The word for that is actually asocial. Like if you look it up, the meaning of asocial is usually what people mean when they say they're antisocial, because the original meaning of antisocial, like you're against like humanity, and people used it wrong so much, like the additional definition became like not wanting to be around people. But if you look up the word asocial, that's what people more so mean when they say like they just don't like interacting with people.
I think of it as like antisocial personality disorder. Not that people have that. I mean, that's how I think of antisocial. That's kind of segues into what I'm going to say though, because language, and this is something I've come to learn, is constantly evolving. Mm-hmm. The same word, like if you were to go back 20 years and say I have Riz, nobody's going to know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Also, I recently found out it's short for charisma, and I did not know what to do with myself.
You didn't know that?
No, I just thought it, like, I don't know where it came from.
So I didn't know it at first either, but with how people was using it, like I connected it in my mind without thinking about Riz short for the word charisma. But
I got that it meant like flirting skills. Yeah. I knew that. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So language is constantly evolving. So antisocial may have meant against humanity, and now antisocial and asocial have the same definition. Mm-hmm. That's because the language is always evolving. Language is always changing, and particularly I've learned a lot just being friends with all of you guys. You're gonna see what I mean by you guys. I've learned a lot more about AAVE, which is African American Vernacular English, or Ebonics. It's got a lot of names. And how it's its own separate dialogue. Mm-hmm. I will say I've never looked down on it. Like I never thought people were speaking correctly. I've just learned more about the rules, and I find that so interesting. Like when I found out that the word it and there are interchangeable, like my freshman year roommate was black, and she would say like, "It's chicken in the fridge" instead of "there's chicken in the fridge," and I didn't know that. I was like, what? Like, and I was never like, why are you saying that? I was like, oh, that's what that means. Or like, AAVE has what's very unique and cool in language. It has a habitual tense, which means, like, if I say, like, let's say I'm talking about you, and I would say, he will run. That's future tense. He did run. Past tense. He's running. Present tense. But the habitual tense would be like, he be running, which means he runs as a habit. Or like he stay running. And a lot of like what's called general American English doesn't have that. So I just think people close their minds to stuff like that because they're like, it's wrong, and they're missing out on the aspects of it that are fascinating and wonderful.
With you mentioning that, it's so cool because I want to ask you this question. If you're not familiar with Elle, she's my friend. She's acquainted and friends with Jada as well, and she has a lot of black friends as a white woman. And I want to ask you, were you always comfortable with having friends outside of your race? Did you grow up around people that weren't your race? And how is it being a white woman and seeing both perspectives of black and white or any other culture?
It's so, like, I'll get more into the history of it, but it's very, like, and sometimes I see other white women do things. I'm like, why are you out here making us look bad? Come on. Like, it's like, ugh. So it's not something I sought out intentionally, but like okay. So I went to a Catholic school, and I think we had like 2 black girls at the beginning, and then by the time I graduated 8th grade, I think there were 4, maybe 5 of them, and there were no black boys at all. So I did not grow up around a lot of mixed race people, although my very first best friend, I'm so glad I didn't dead name them because they don't use this name anymore. But at the time, their name now is Nico, so that's the name I'm going to refer to them as. They are Filipino. So I have grown up around a lot of Filipino people. And then my best friend in high school is, shout out Zoe, half Filipino, half Puerto Rican, which is the same ethnic makeup as Bruno Mars, who is my favorite singer ever. And I don't know if y'all know any Filipino people, but if there is a celebrity that's Filipino, every time you bring them up, they're like, she's Filipino. Like, if you say Olivia Rodrigo around a Filipino, they're going to be like, she's Filipino. And I say that. Filipino? She is.
Wow, I know that.
Yeah, she's a Asian.
Wow.
So they're going to, like, and I don't say that as a detriment. I just think it's a really funny thing. So I have never seen, like, other races as inferior, obviously. But I've never seen it as, like, a barrier to friendship. There are obviously a lot of things, like cultural differences, that you kind of have to get used to. Like, for example, like when you guys were talking about Thanksgiving food, and black people say dressing, whereas white people say stuffing. I was like, what the hell is dressing? But I've always been comfortable around people of other races. My dad used to tell me when I was really young that I was obsessed with fairness. One of my biggest flaws as a person is that I keep score. Like, when I was a kid, my parents once found a list that I had written out of things that my sister had gotten that I hadn't. Like, I was that obsessed with it. So because I am so obsessed with fairness, I see everybody equally. So when I came to college is when I think I started having, like, a lot of black friends, was because I met Samaya. And we just clicked. Like, we're very similar people. I was like, oh, she's such a wonderful person. And then Jada joined our desk, and I met Jada, and then I met Shakira, and then I met you. You know what I mean? And it was like, oh, okay. Because what a lot of people don't realize... So when a lot of people realize that Detroit is the most segregated city in the country, it is like 98% black, people don't seem to understand that that means that the surrounding areas are really, really white. Because that's how that works. If one area is largely white, then where do the white people go to the surrounding areas? So I'm from Royal Oak, which is, I like to say, I tell people, have you seen 8 Mile? I live at 11 and a half. Yes, I do. I shout out Catalpa Road. So yeah, I grew up around mostly white people and like some Filipinos, but even then it was still, like, my high school was majority white. So like coming to MSU and being friends with you guys is like, it's not, I don't know. I guess I've never really like thought about it too intensely. But I will say there is a large difference between the way, when I was in high school in particular, I found like some, not all things, but I found some things were more in common with friends that I have that were of different ethnic groups. Like I mentioned my friend Zoe. There are some universal experiences that people talk about being white that I don't have. For example, you guys were talking about when you ask your mom for McDonald's, my mom, oh, I was never allowed to have McDonald's. She always said we got food at home. Or like my friend Zoe, who I mentioned, in high school, we bonded over the fact that a lot of our peers, I think in drama club was the example, were super entitled. Like just crazy entitled because I was not raised ethnically or racially, like I was, fully white here, but I was raised very strict. And I was told, don't talk back, like don't disrespect your elders. Don't call adults by their first name. They are Mrs. and Mr. So those things I always found I had in common with a lot of people of different racial and ethnic groups. Like, I'm taking a sociology course right now on race and ethnicity. Minority groups is the term. So that was always something that I had in common. So, although I was at a wedding and there was a small disagreement over how to do the Cupid shuffle, I think. And I said it was one way and somebody else said it was another way. And my mom backed me up and my mom was like, Ellie's friends with a lot of black people. She probably knows. And the way it worked, too. Because, like, my dad was like, that makes sense. I trust her. And everybody was like, oh, okay. And I was like, what? What just happened? Because, first of all, I learned the version of that dance from Filipinos at my friend Zoe's PCN, which stands for Philippine Culture Night, which is super fun event. But I do remember distinctly, and this is an experience I had at Samaya's grad party, too, walking in. And because I said I grew up in a very white area, I have never been in the minority before. So I go to this Philippine culture night. And there's like a ton of people there, like all these tables, like a nice event. And for like the first time in my life, I'm like, oh, I'm the minority here. And I wasn't scared or anything, but I was like unsettled. And it made me realize, God, what it must be like to have that be every time you walk into a room. Like, I was like, Jesus. And then when I went to Samaya's grad party, I was the only white person there. So I walk in and I'm like, oh. And I've always been very comfortable around you guys, but I just imagine that is a feeling that I'm not used to. But it's also like, it must be, damn, you and I realize racism is bad. No, I'm just kidding. But like, it must be really hard to experience that all the time.
It's so bad to the point where we get used to it. Like, especially going to a predominantly white institution, it's like, if I was shocked, which I still get shocked, but if I was shocked every time I walked into a room and I was one of the only black people, it would be no point in me going to college or no going to college here because it's very, very frequent. And the bigger the room gets, the more almost intimidating it gets to look around and you see like two more black people and like if they're both black women, which I've been in this scenario a lot where like I'm the only black male, period. Like for the longest time I was the only black, or in the beginning when I started working here at the beginning of this year, I was the only black man in the newsroom in general. And even now it's like 3 in total. So
yeah, and that's not something I've always thought about. Because it's just when you are in the majority, it's not something you think about. It really isn't. So, and being somebody who's worked in childcare and then in journalism is pretty gender neutral. But in childcare, like other nannies are usually women. So I've really never had that experience because I have friends who are white women, or like my best friend is Middle Eastern, like they go into a room in STEM classes and they're like, there's very few women. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Yeah, but like I said, I enjoy being the mark. I do. It's a good time. But yeah, I joke about AAVE kicking my ass on the regular. Like I watch old Def Comedy Jam specials on Peacock, and I have to turn on the subtitles because, and I mean I usually turn subtitles on, but if I try to watch without subtitles, I can't make out what word they're saying. Like even sometimes when you guys talk really fast, I'll miss a word. Like Shakira was like, "Oh, that's one of my hosts," but I thought she said hose.
And
I wrote on a piece of paper, hose, ?
Because we were recording an episode of All Shades of Chocolate, and she said the statement she said, and Elle was in here with us, and she wrote, because one of the rules we have for the State News podcast, that, like, you can't cuss, like, we prefer not to cuss, and if I didn't catch that, like, if she did say hose, and I didn't catch that, if it was caught from, like, one of my bosses, it'd be a problem, but also just in general, I would have to I'm supposed to edit that out. And when she wrote that on the paper, I'm looking and I'm like, no, she said host, like with a T at the end. And it was just funny to realize, like, oh, that's what she meant.
It was embarrassing. But I mean, what are you going to do? And another reason I don't have like a problem, obviously having a lot of black friends, is because, and this was a problem I think a lot of white people have. People tend to take any mention of racial inequality as a personal insult. And that makes no sense to me. I have never had, like, even learning in school, and I'm thankful I went to school in Michigan, which has pretty decent education about racial and ethnic topics. I never learned about, I never felt bad. Let me rephrase. I never felt guilty learning about segregation. Like, I felt bad. I was like, damn, like, it sucks that they had to go through that, or learning about slavery. I was like, wow, that's cruel and inhumane. But I never felt personally attacked because I don't own fucking slaves. Like, I'm not a racist. I'm not, like, I've never segregated anything in my life. And this isn't to say that I'm, like, perfect or without flaws, but I've never felt personally attacked by that. So when Black people talk about injustice or discrimination that they experience and you take it personally, I don't understand that. Because why would you feel guilty unless you've got something to hide?
Exactly. And I guess a lot of the times, like, being someone who would be in the class and they talk about these type of issues, and in my mind it's like, oh, here we go again. And then as I see, like, the faces of, like, my white peers, and, like, they either shy away from certain, like, answer certain questions, or they feel, it seems as though, not guilty, but they get, like, secondhand embarrassment. Because it's like, you would look around and you would look at, like, the only Black person in the room, and they looking just like, well, this is just not brand new information. And then they be like, oh, dang, like, can I say this, or would it be bad to say this? Or, like, I remember we were in, I think it was Germ 203, digital storytelling. Is that digital story with Jeremy Steele? I think. Shout out Jeremy.
Him and his bow ties.
And it was a question about I'm pretty sure it was George Floyd. No, it was about Trayvon Martin and the other guy. I forget his name, but they didn't know who Trayvon Martin was.
Who?
The entire class.
No, not the whole class.
Well,
see, this is what I'm talking about.
Put it like this:
white people, we got to do better.
Let me be as factual as possible. When Jeremy asked who this was, nobody raised their hand. So either they didn't know or they didn't want to say nothing. Which either way, I feel like it's kind of bad. But it was weird because I was at the table. It was the, like, majority of the only Black people in the room. It was with I
took that class with Jada, but we must have not been in the same section.
Yeah, and I took it with Shakira, and we were all sitting there. We was looking like, or I don't know what was said. I'm like, you mean tell me, like, nobody knows who he is, or, like, nobody wants to, like, talk about this? Like, it's a whole nother can of worms that you can open up. But you mentioned a lot about being a nanny and working with kids, and as someone who really loves working with kids, and I'm also an education minor, by the way. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm an education minor. I started taking my classes for my minor this semester.
You're just like Gregory for real. Like, you so are. That's Gregory from Abba Elementary, who is also a very picky eater. So I'm always reminded of Anthony when I watch that show.
That's so crazy. How is it, from your perspective, working with kids? And do you admire it? Do you love it? And how did you begin being a nanny and just continue working with kids past, like, babysitting?
I have always been really good with children. I always have. I've worked with various ages. I don't have a favorite child, obviously. That'd be crazy. But I worked for a year with a family that had an 8-year-old girl, and I ended up watching a lot of her friends, too. And that's just such a wonderful age because they're old enough to, like, clean themselves and but they're still, like, I remember I worked with a 13-year-old who didn't like me because he was like, I'm too old for this. So they're young enough to not, or old enough to clean themselves and young enough to not dislike you yet. But oh my God, she was, like, so sassy. I'm like, I would come home and I'd be like, Mom, guess what she said to me? And my mom would be like, you deserve this because that's how you were. And I was like, damn, wow, okay. Yes, but I've always loved working with children because, and I've said this before, I've been told by friends that I'm not cut out to work in food service or retail. Like, we worked concessions for the state news once, and I got somebody filed a formal complaint about me because I was telling people to put on their masks because they had to be masked.
Oh.
I would say, just a reminder, you are required to be masked in this area of the stadium. And I guess I don't have a very good customer service voice. But yeah, this little guy called me a crab ass. It was crazy.
Dog.
No, I was like, what is a crab ass? I'd never heard that in my life. And he's shaking his head. It was nuts. But and what I tell people is when you work with children, when children are rude or mean or just act in a way that is not considered acceptable, it's because they are learning how to be a human. They don't know how to be a person yet. They don't know how to control their emotions. These are things we have to learn and be taught.
I never thought about it like that.
And so when they're rude, number one, I always remind myself that. I'm like, okay, this is a person in training, PIT.
Wow.
That's why they're... And then you also are allowed to discipline them. And I say discipline specifically. So for me, like you get to say hi. Well, I wouldn't start with hey. I'd be like, hey, that's not how we treat each other. That's not acceptable. Would you like it if somebody did that to you? I need you to go over there. You need to be in timeout for 2 minutes. You need to think about what you did. And then we'll talk later, okay? When an adult is rude to you in public, it's because they're an asshole.
Say there's no sugarcoating.
No, it's... And you have to tell them they're right? The customer's always right. No, the customer is not always right. If I worked in retail and somebody got mad at me, like as a grown, why are you, as a grown adult, this is another, one of my favorite sayings that I have picked up from, like, as Anthony said before, my black friends is, at your big age. I use that all the time now. Why are you at your big age getting mad over like a pair of pants? Like if I worked in clothing. Mm-hmm. And I have to be like, I'm so sorry, ma'am. Let me help you. No! My actual response would be like, why are you coming to me with that tone? Take it down a notch. It's pants. It's not that deep. You don't get to, like... The way that people think they can treat service workers is, abysmal. Which is to say my experiences in working with childcare, the negative ones, have not been with the children. It has been from the parents.
Really?
Yes. I've had parents delay payment for a long time, which is just disrespectful because you're telling me that my time isn't worth anything. I once had a family, these two parents got into a screaming match. So I had just watched and I'd been working them for a while. This is a babysitting job, so not an everyday thing. I had watched their two daughters who were 4 and 1, and then their niece and their nephew who were 5 and 3. Or no, I think it was 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's the most kids of that age. That it was one of the hardest tasks I'd ever had to take on. But I was confident in my abilities. I finally got them all to bed. These parents come home and they were drunk. I don't know about him, but she was definitely drunk. They go upstairs, and all of this was before they had paid me, so I could not leave. They go upstairs, where the kids are sleeping, by the way, after I'd worked my ass off getting them to bed, and they get into a screaming match. I was downstairs. I know relationships are not perfect. I don't assume to know the details of their marriage, but there are some words and phrases that I just do not believe you should ever call somebody. So he's up there going, "You stupid fucking drunk bitch." Again, in the same floor as their daughters. So you're teaching your daughter that's an acceptable thing to say. And she's like, "I wish I never married you." She's crying. And then I hear this door slam. Well, I just hear this noise. So she comes down, she pays me, she's like, "I'm so sorry you had to hear that." She's crying, and I was like, "Is there somewhere that you want me to take you? I can drive you to a friend's house or something?" She's like, "No, it's fine." And I was like, "Do you want a hug?" So I gave her a hug, and she, I told her, I said, "I know it's not my business, but I need to ask you, was that a door slamming or did he hit you?" And she was like, "He slammed the door." And I was like, "Okay." So I go to drive home. I had to pull over. I could not breathe. Because my family is not perfect. We fight. We yell. I have never, ever seen I have never seen anyone yell at anyone else in that fashion before. I was in just a tailspin for the next week. I was texting my friends. I was I came home and I was like, "Mom." And my mom had to hold me while I cried. And I was texting my friends what if that happens to me? What if I end up in a marriage and I end up unloved? And my friends were like, "You need to take a deep breath. It's going to be fine. That probably won't happen to you." And then she texted me the next day and was like, "Sorry about that. Everything's fine." And I had to be like, "I'm not comfortable working for you again because that was not fine." Mm-hmm. Everything is not fine. And I knew these people through church, and I've talked about this with friends before, this specific phrase, Catholics don't get divorced. I went to Catholic school. I knew maybe 2 people with divorced parents. I switched to public school. It was half the people I knew. Catholics do not get divorced. And I had met these people through my former church. So I just knew that these poor daughters are going to have to grow up in that environment and hearing, particularly teaching your daughters, both from his perspective, that that's an acceptable way to talk to women, and teaching your daughters that that's an acceptable way to be spoken to, absolutely not acceptable.
You mentioned Catholics not being divorced. Is that a Catholic thing?
Catholics don't get divorced. Divorce is a sin in the Catholic Church, and it is very, very rare that Catholics will get divorced. And I remember my friend's mom was a Eucharistic minister. And for those of you who don't know what that means, when you take communion in a Catholic Church, it's the person that hands it to you. They say the body of Christ, you say amen, you do the sign of the cross, you eat it, you go get the wine, yada, yada, yada. So distributing communion is something you have to go through training for. And my friend's mom, for a while, was not allowed to do it because she was divorced.
Wow.
So, because Jesus does condemn divorce 6 times in the Bible, it's a very touchy subject for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But I just remember thinking that family and those girls, I felt so bad for them.
Yeah, not to get too much into it on the mic just for not wanting to put people out their reasons, but I relate. Just from the perspective of hearing certain things in a household that you would rather not hear. And I can imagine it sucks because from my perspective, it's like, dang, you're not used to that. And it's such a great thing that you're not. But, yeah, it's very... I can imagine how you felt.
I've told a few people this story, and they've given me similar reactions. That makes me want to come... I wish I could give you a hug. I'll give you a little hand hug. I've told people that story, and they've said, oh, you're not used to that, or, oh, you didn't grow up that way, or, oh, you were shocked by that. And I've always been like, God, that's so sad. Again, my family's not perfect. We have a lot of other stuff going on. Oh, I can swear. We got a lot of other shit going on, but we do not yell at each other that way. And I remembered I told my cousin, and she's Christian. She's not Catholic. She's a Presby. Shout out Presbyterians. I remember I told her that she's got 4 kids, and she was like, oh, I'm not going to say his name, but she was like, oh, if my husband ever spoke to me that way, I would leave him so fast. And I was like, see, because she knows her worth, and her husband is wonderful. They have such a great marriage. And she's, oh my God, she's such a good mom. Ashley, if you're listening, you're a great mom and person.
Shout out Ashley.
Shout out Ashley, and her children are so cute. Oh my God.
So with the topic of religion, would you identify as Catholic now?
I'm an Episcopalian, but I've said this before.
Meaning?
People always ask me, is that food thing? No, that's pescatarian.
I was gonna make that joke, but I'm like, I don't know if that'd be.
No, that's a joke. That's another Abbott Elementary joke where Jacob's like, cats are pescatarian. You're telling me this cat believes in God?
Wow.
That's so funny. No, Episcopalian is best summarized by Robin Williams as Catholic light, which I think is the funniest thing in the world. God rest his soul. I love Robin Williams.
I haven't heard that name in a minute. Rest in peace, Robin Williams.
God, he's a comedic genius too. He called it Catholic light, which I thought was so funny. I was raised Catholic, and when I say Catholic, I know people who were raised Catholic as in they went to church on Christmas. We went to church every Sunday. I was baptized when I was 2 months old. Mm-hmm. I took First Communion. I went to Catholic school. I got not all the sacraments. That'd be crazy. I've never been married or had anointing of the sick because I've never been close to death. Confession, all of that. I was an altar server up till I was 18 years old. The only reason I stopped was because of the pandemic. So I did it for 7 years. But I've always had kind of a rocky relationship with Catholicism and my faith because I am bisexual and I was attracted to women, and I really struggled with that for a while and finding out how those two things fit together. But there are lots of gay Catholics. It's your relationship with God. Mm-hmm. But I did not leave the Catholic Church until the summer of 2020 because I was 18 years old. I was working in Huntington Woods at the time. So my church was National Shrine of the Little Flower Basilica. Catholics, you might know it. It's the big tall one on 12 Mile with a giant cross. The priest who founded it, I didn't learn this until much later, but was actually taken off the radio because he was insanely anti-Semitic, which is not something they teach you. They're like, he was such a great man. No. Father Charles, if you're in hell right now hearing this, no. He, yeah. So I would drive from Huntington Woods. There was this Episcopal church, and they had these protesters out all the time protesting for Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. And they had a sign that says, "You are loved, no exceptions." They put it up in June. And I just remember thinking, like, if Jesus were alive now, that's what he would be doing. So sort of the straw that broke the camel's back for me, and this is a matter of public record, so I'm not exposing anything saying this, there was this teacher who taught at the grade school I went to, Shrine Grade School, the Catholic school. Her name was Mrs. Nikes. I never had her. She taught 2nd grade, and her nickname was Mrs. Nicest. Like, she was so nice. She was like Miss Honey from Matilda, basically. She had a quote on her wall that was a Harvey Milk quote, who, if you guys don't know, was an very, very famous LGBTQ activist. The quote wasn't even about homosexuality. It just said, like, love is the best thing in the world or something like that. And some bitch-ass anti-vaxxer mom complained and was like, "Oh my God, it's Harvey Milk. My kid can't see that. This is a Catholic school." So she was pressured to resign.
To cut you off real quick, a white woman doing a white accent just blew my mind. Like, the fact that you did a stereotypical white accent as a white person and it sounded different, that just blew my mind.
Thank you.
I don't know how to. I guess that's a cop. I don't know. It just
I just thinking about her. I don't even know who it was. It's just, I'm pissed.
It just shows how even a white person can identify a Karen.
Oh yeah, she was definitely a Karen. And she's like, and that's just weaponizing religion in the worst way. So she was like, and the reason that this happened was because the church got a new pastor around that time, and he's like, I've heard a lot of former people I went to school with and church with saying like that they don't like him. He's very like fire and brimstone. He's very like anti-homophobia. He's one of those like
anti-homophobia.
Oh, I fucked that sentence up. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he's anti-gay, pro-homophobia.
Yeah.
Like he's like trans people are hurting our kids. That like bullshit. Mm-hmm. And he so he's responsible for this. She was pressured to resign, which means that we didn't fire her.
I thought you was gonna say she took the thing down.
No, they forced her to fucking quit. And then another teacher who I did have named Mrs. Frechette, shout out Mrs. Frechette, she was one of the best teachers I ever had. I had her in 4th grade. She was wonderful. She quit in protest. She was like, if she's leaving, I'm leaving. So both these teachers quit, and there was kind of this like, it wasn't like a skirmish, but there was this like protest kind of prayer group circle thing, people that came together in the parking lot of the church to like discuss this. And I hadn't been back in years because of the pandemic, and also because I didn't go to high school there. I just went to grade school and middle school. But I made this sign because I was in church choir too, 3rd grade through 6th. And there was a song that we learned, which was like, "Love one another as I have loved you," which is a quote from the Bible, "Love one another as I have loved you." So I put it on a sign, and I put like rainbow tape around the edges because that's what Jesus said to do. So I brought it there, and I was on the news actually.
Really?
Yeah. And the priest was like, our pastor, I don't remember his name. He's the Monsignor though. He's talking and he's like, "Does anyone else have anything that they want to say?" Because he's trying to defend his position, but what he needed to understand is that the majority of the parish was not behind him. Because a majority of Catholics are normal people. They are not these weird trad Caths, like women belong in the home. Like they might not have the best views, but they are usually. When I say pro-life, I mean they're actually pro-life, like anti-death penalty. Give food to the hungry, like that kind of stuff. Does that justify being pro, as we say in AP style, pro or anti-abortion rights? No, but what are you gonna do? But they usually walk the walk, majority of them. So I finally said, I was like, okay, I have something to say. And I kept in mind this quote in my head from the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, where she said, "Speak your mind even if your voice shakes." So I was like, my voice was shaking like hell. But I was like, the Jesus that I know, he hung out with prostitutes and tax collectors, and he did not judge, and he loved everybody. And when you took those teachers out of that classroom, you took away a chance for those children to learn about that Christ. And you should not have done that. They both got their jobs back. And I'm not saying that was me, but I'm not saying that. But that event for me was, like I said, kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. So I emailed the priest at this Episcopal church, and it was a woman. Like, I remember getting the response and being like, "Hi, it's Beth." And I was like, "What?" Because for those of you who don't know, women cannot be priests in Catholicism. So I got this email from this pastor. And I was like, oh my God. And like, I ended up going to service there. I haven't been in a while because I've been at MSU for like 2 years now. But I send them $15 a month. I'm a parishioner there. And it's just the change that I experienced was so profound. Like, it was so much more of the religion that I was taught as a child was actually, I was seeing that in practice. Mm-hmm. And I've said before that I think I could go back to being Catholic if I married somebody Catholic and it was really important to them. I could do it. Like, and I could see wanting my kids to go to that kind of school because it was a great education. Yeah, but that's my experience with religion. So, like I said, I'm Episcopalian now. Shout out the Episcopal Church. They're great. They allow women to be pastors. They allow gay people to get married in their churches. It's wonderful. They've never had any scandals with their priests abusing children. Actually, the term priest they don't use that term. They say like pastor or reverend, which was a change for me. But
okay, so a couple questions about this.
Go ahead.
And I don't know which one to ask first, but as someone who is bisexual and also Catholic, do you view biblically was Catholic, and as a bisexual woman, biblically and morally, because I split it up because your answer may be different. Do you view being gay as a sin?
No.
No, both ways? Like biblically and morally?
No, both ways, correct.
Okay.
So here's what people have to understand. The Bible itself is full of contradictions. Like, there is no holy book that does not have, to be fair, I haven't read the Quran, but I just refuse to believe, because there are several sacred Hindu texts as well, that they aren't contradictory. Mm-hmm. There are verses in the Bible that say wearing clothes that are like a cotton polyester blend is a sin. Do you think that's a sin? Because I don't. And the official reason, and this is what a lot of people don't know, in the actual catechism of the Catholic Church, which is a separate book, the reason that gay people cannot get married is not because homosexuality is a sin. It's because, well, one, acting on so being gay is not a sin, but acting on homosexuality is a sin. Mm-hmm. And marriage should be they say getting married, the primary focus of marriage is to have children. So if you cannot have children, then therefore you should not be allowed to get married, which doesn't make any sense because old people can get married in a Catholic church, and so can women or men who are infertile. So that's why that argument doesn't hold up. Mm-hmm. But no, I don't see being gay as a sin at all, because I just think there are so many worse sins, and Jesus's message was about reading the Bible and taking away that message is just sad to me, because how do you miss all the more beautiful and the profound things that are in there about loving your neighbor and staying humble and the Beatitudes and honoring your mother and father within reason, because I know a lot of people who have rough relationships with their parents would disagree with me, but as somebody who has a healthy one, honoring your mother and father, not stealing, not lying, not killing, being anti-war, pacifism, all of that stuff. How do you read that book and your takeaway is gay people are wrong? There is a book, the song Same Love by Macklemore?
Not by title, I don't. If I heard it, I probably know it, but I don't recognize it by title.
I didn't realize I was gay till I was 15, but I heard that song when it came out and I cried and I was like, I'm sure this means nothing. But he says a few lines that I really, really loved. One of them is, America the brave still fears what we don't know. God loves all his children is somehow forgotten, but we paraphrase a book written 3,500 years ago. And then he also says, if you preach hate at the service, those words, they aren't anointed. That holy water that you soak in has been poisoned. And I remember that really hit me the specific use of the word poison. Yeah. Because I just think that the message of Christianity, not that I understand all sects of Christianity, that's S-E-C-T-S, sex, not as in sections. I don't understand all of them, but the ones that I'm familiar with would be Episcopalianism, Catholicism, and like I said, I have a lot of family who are presbys. Choosing that message to take away is such a missed opportunity in my mind.
Definitely understandable. And real quick, since you mentioned how important just language and facts is to you, did you know, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I've heard this from a minister, it being my dad. But according,
your dad is a minister?
Yeah.
What like section of what denomination?
So we're not denominational. We're part of not denominational Christians. We're not denominational Christians, yeah. But apparently the verse is honor your father and mother. Like father comes first.
Oh, have I always said it backwards?
Apparently the world says it backwards. Because I thought it was also mother and father, and I don't know if he researched it or somebody else, but apparently it's honor thy father and mother.
I did know it was thy, because it's the fourth commandment.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's so crazy to see, and I've never...
Now that you're saying it, I'm remembering, like, the first time I learned the 10 Commandments. I don't remember all of them now, but... Yeah. I remember the last two.
Mm-hmm. And with being a part of the LGBTQIA plus community, how was it, you said that you first found out or felt that way at, did you say 14, 15?
I came out when I was 15, but I started to question when I was 12, 13.
Okay.
I saw the Can't Remember to Forget You by Rihanna and Shakira music video, and it changed me. And that's not a joke. When people talk about, like, what was your sexual awakening, that video. I don't know if you've seen it.
I don't even know what you're talking about. So,
do you remember the Rihanna and Shakira song, the I Can't Remember to Forget You? That one?
Nope.
Oh my God. Okay, well, that music video, that was my sexual awakening for women.
So I guess that partially answers my question, but I was going to ask, how was that, realizing that about yourself, and then how was it coming out, and then growing up as a bisexual woman, being in, I'm assuming, different relationships with men and women, just how has that been from 12 or 13 to now?
I actually wrote an essay about this. I'm going to find it while I talk. I'm not going to recite the whole thing. That'd be nuts. But... So I grew up around at a very specific time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're gonna get into some shit here. Let me find it. Hang on. Here's my final draft of it. Okay. There is a specific line that I love. It's from Grace and Frankie. Martin Sheen says it, and he says, "This is never going to end, is it? I thought we could do it in one day, but I am never not going to be coming out, am I?" And it's, when people talk about coming out, it's not a one-time thing. It's something you do over and over. Usually when people say their coming out story, they're talking about the first time. Mm-hmm. So let me here, I'm going to read some of it. So I realized I might not be straight when I was in 8th grade. In 7th and 8th grade, I had a very tight-knit group of friends. There were around 7 of us in total. This was 2014 to 2016, a time where both the golden years of YouTube and the dark years of Tumblr intersected. Explaining why that is would take too much time, so you'll just have to trust me. So think of the social justice warriors on Tumblr, the ones who watched Sherlock, Supernatural, and Doctor Who, and if you've never heard the portmanteau for fans of all three, count your blessings. Listen to Troye Sivan and saw Dan and Phil on tour. That was me. I saw them twice. That was us, my friend group. Now, like most people who were a part of that particular online culture, we were queer. Not all of us knew it at the time, but by the end of high school, every single one of us had come out. Being around these people, some of whom were out, shaped who I was. The 7 of us found each other and created a space where we could be ourselves, a challenge that was especially hard because we were in Catholic school. After middle school, I switched from private to public school and lost contact with many of them, but it was around and because of these people that I first began questioning my sexuality. So I thought I might be attracted to women, but I also thought, I was like, what if I'm just faking it? Like, what if I just want to fit into this community? What if I just want to be, like, with these friends? Like, what if it's all a lie, guys? And then when I was a freshman in high school, and I've talked to her about it since, and we both kind of realized, oh yeah, we were kind of dating. I had this friend, and every single day after soccer practice and soccer conditioning, we would go over to, like, one of our houses and watch TV together, and I remember holding her hand and hearing my mom coming up the stairs and letting go really fast. And I remember, like, I didn't know, and we never went on a date. Oh no, we did. We saw Aladdin, and my mom was like, so was that a date? And this is before I was out, and I was like, I don't know. We never kissed or anything like that, and it just kind of fizzled out. But that was the first time I realized that and again, like I was like 14, so I really didn't know what I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But I came out when I was 15, and I came out in a post about gun control, and I said that for anybody who is like, for people who are against gun control, know that I was a pro-choice bisexual woman in a Catholic school. You don't scare me. And I had a lot of, unfortunately, this was the essay I wrote. Unfortunately, I didn't have the best. Okay, here's the thing. My family reacted wonderfully. Like, my mom called me up to her room and she said I could tell her anything and that she loved me. And my dad said the same thing. But they didn't react the way that I had hoped because they didn't like that I was too political. So they didn't have a problem with me being queer or with my political statement. They just didn't like that I combined them. And that bothered me because you're coming out, your first time you come out is a critical moment. And I didn't feel that any concern or criticism, regardless of where it was coming from, was helpful. So they kind of twisted that moment and they took the focus away. They shifted the focus away from, I'm reading now, from the coming out itself. They used it as another opportunity to criticize how brash I was with my political and moral attitudes. I said, while I needed their criticisms of my general demeanor and when it came to politics, and I came to value their input later, by drawing them into this moment, they erased its gravity. They put me down and made me feel like a child. So they made me realize here's what I said. Was I using this to make a political statement? Does that diminish its value? And it messed me up a lot, but here, I'm just going to read the last two paragraphs. Now, I know I'm talking a lot, but I'll be quick. At a certain point a year or so ago, this shame and regret, I wrote this 2 years ago, so 3 years ago. This shame and regret went away. I had no epiphany moment, nothing large or life-changing. I just stopped caring. I don't feel the same regret, but that's because I think, to be honest, I don't really think of my initial coming out very often. The past 3.5 years, so that's like 7 years. The past 3.5 years have faded my emotions surrounding my initial coming out and made me see it the way everyone sees their actions at 15. I'm proud of myself. Could I have handled it better? Probably, but I could handle most things better now than when I was 15. I handled myself better when I finally ended up leaving the church this past summer. I handled myself better 2 weeks after when I met my girlfriend, now ex-girlfriend. And I know I'll handle myself better in the hundreds of coming out moments I'll have throughout the rest of my life. So, yeah, like I said, that's kind of my coming out story. It's very eloquent, not because I'm thinking of that on the fly, but because I've written about it before. Yeah, so when I first came out, I mean, my family was great. I didn't like the way they handled. They weren't homophobic, which is important. And then I met my first love, my first girlfriend, when I was 19. Yeah.
And as always, if I always have these conversations, I'll say I really appreciate you talking about it and being vulnerable about it and being proud of your sexuality. And to keep it going, I want to ask you, you now said your ex-girlfriend, and you are now currently with your boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you guys been together a little over a year. What'd you take away from being with a woman and then being with a man?
I've said this before. It is different. The feeling of love is not different, but it is a different experience. Mm-hmm. Being with a woman versus being with a man. It's just it's very sorry. I said this to my boyfriend once and he got bent, and I didn't mean it the way it came out, but he at the time he had facial hair, and somebody asked me once oh, are men or women better kissers? And I said women, and I didn't mean that as beef to him. I just meant that women usually have softer lips. So I was like, baby, I'm sorry. Although I've told him before when he forgets to shave, I'm like, scratchy, get away. But yeah, it is very different. It's very well, for one, there's fewer questions, about who pays for stuff, because my boyfriend he's Eastern European, so he's pretty old school. He pays for everything. And if I remember on his birthday, I had to fight this man. Not actually. He was like, I'm really uncomfortable with you buying me a birthday present. I'm like, why are you like this? So I didn't get him anything, but I was like, okay, but at least let me pay for dinner. The check comes. He's like, I just want to see it. I'm like, if you don't hand me that right now, like I had to wrestle out of his hands. He's like, this is too much. I'm like, give me the damn check. It's your birthday. I can buy you dinner once. You've bought me dinner a million times. So, and then one time we ordered food, and then that, like, it was like date night, so we had dinner, and then that led to other things. And he was like, oh, like, I want to pay you for dinner. I'll just give you cash. So he put it on my desk, but it was like right after we'd had sex, and I was like, why does this make me feel like a prostitute? I was like, wait. I was like, you just put cash on my desk after that. And he was like, I'd like to think you're worth more than $40. And I was like, so true, I am.
Fair.
Yeah, with my boyfriend now. I won't tell y'all his actual name, but we can call him Mike, because it's Shakira, who had met him before. Like, she had known his name. She comes up to him at my birthday party, and she hadn't even had anything to drink yet. Not that she would do that because she's mine or whatever. She comes up to him, and she goes, how you doing, Mike? Full confidence. She was, like, convinced. That's not his name. And his name doesn't start with an M. It doesn't rhyme with Mike. It's not even close to that. So but he was chill. He wrote Mike on his cup because he's very laid back. Which makes sense because I'm not, so... yeah, we can call Mike for the purpose of this conversation. Yeah, it is different dating a woman versus dating a man. It's just, yeah. I mean, they're both wonderful. I would never say one is not better than the other, but they are definitely different experiences in terms of the way society views your relationship, in terms of various mechanics of it. Like, it's definitely weird. When we first started dating, he's so much taller. Because my ex-girlfriend and I were, like, the same height. We even kind of looked alike. It's kind of weird, thinking about it now. She had a lot longer hair than I did, but she was also blonde. No, but my boyfriend now, you know what, I love him. So we can say he's 6 feet tall. The people of this podcast don't need to know that he's actually 5'11" and a half.
Hey, 6 feet.
He's 6 feet tall, sure. But he got length where it counts. I'm sorry.
Dog.
Cut that out. I'm sorry. So he got inches where it counts. I'll stop. He you can actually leave that in. I don't care. He's not gonna be like, oh no, you said that. But he's I'm 5'4", which is like average height. So he's like, when I have to kiss him, I'm like on my tiptoes, which was an adjustment.
Aww.
But it's cute. And he could pick me up, which, like I said, my ex and I were kind of the same size. So I couldn't pick her up. She couldn't pick me up. But he can pick me up. I remember he picked me up. I was like, throw me around like a pizza. Sorry.
Dog.
I said that to Jada once and she laughed so hard.
And with one of the best things about me and Elle's connection is that we can talk about, like, a lot of stuff without there being, like, a pause button. And I wanted to put that disclaimer before I asked this. Who'd you lose, or which gender did you lose your virginity to?
I lost my virginity to a woman. It was my first girlfriend, the one I mentioned. I was 19. And it was very... I come off out of place in conversations about loss of virginity a lot. Like, my older sister was talking to, like, a cousin or something, and they were like, yeah, futon, or, like, a bed in the basement, and it really hurt. I lost my virginity in a hotel room with, this is not an exaggeration, with wine and candles and rose petals with somebody I really loved. So like I said, I come off out of place in these conversations. I mean, it wasn't like mind-blowing the best sex I've ever had, but nobody's first time is, truly. But it was very magical, and it was really special and important to me, and it's something I think I'll always, like, remember and cherish, not in a weird way, in just a normal way. Yeah, I lost my virginity to a woman, and then when I was 19, I lost my virginity to a guy when I was 20.
Okay. Do you still keep in contact with your ex at all, or?
Nope, not at all.
Understandable.
I think it's so weird when people are like, let's stay friends. Let's not. What if we did? And we had a very amicable split, but it's also relevant to mention that she lives like 3,000 miles away.
Oh. Really?
Yeah, she was Dutch. I don't know. I thought I told you that. Yeah, we met online, and then 6 months into dating, our relationship was 9 months total. I went to see her for New Year's. I was supposed to spend 2 weeks with her in the Netherlands, but then I got COVID, so I ended up staying there for a month.
Wow.
It actually worked out because I was asymptomatic. So I just got to spend, it was just I just got to spend a month with like this person I was in a relationship and in love with. It was wonderful. So I also got to go to Europe, and I got to like walk around Amsterdam and the city that she's from, which is Deventer. I can still say thank you in Dutch. It's dankjewel.
Oh,
which I joked sounds like Donkeyville, and she was like, "Why would you say that?" So she, yeah, we are on good terms. Like, if I ever really needed a favor, like, I could ask her, but we don't talk. I think the last time she contacted me was after the shooting, because she had heard about it in East Lansing last year, for those of you who don't know, and she wanted to make sure that I was okay.
Okay.
Obviously. So,
yeah. That's good that she
but we are not still friends. We do not talk. I think that's so strange, because I could never see her as a friend, because she was so much more to me. Mm-hmm. Like, I've talked about this with my now boyfriend. I'm like, if we break up, we're not staying friends. I could never just be friends with you. That makes the feelings sense. That I've had, the history that we have. I mean, maybe 10 years from now or something, but not now.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you had...
You're yawning. It's going to find me.
Contagious. Went to Europe, and like you were in the Netherlands, and you were surprised when you were in the room during the recording of All Shades of Chocolate. And I was someone who said, like, I've only been out of Michigan one time. I went to DreamCon for in Texas, and I want to ask you just how have your experiences been traveling the world, and what was your favorite place you've been to?
Oh Lord, okay. Well, I wouldn't say traveling the world, but I was talking to a friend of mine who grew up. It's an interesting experience. We share it. We have pretty much almost the exact same upbringing, with the caveat that she is Mexican-American and I'm not. But we went to the same school. We grew up 2 blocks away from each other. Our parents are super similar. Like, we both had strict parents. Mm-hmm. But we have the same experience in that we both went to private school, but within everybody there, we were poor. So, like, we're middle class in real life. But because private school has a lot of rich kids, we were considered very poor. Wow. But still, and this is something we've come to understand a lot more later, is that we've both left the country multiple times, because she goes to see her family in Mexico once a year. Mm-hmm. But realizing that a lot of my peers have not even left the state or left the country or been on a plane, and I'm like, what? So I have traveled to some wonderful places. Even just this past year, I was in Phoenix for 2 weeks. That was so much fun. My aunt and uncle went to the Masters in Georgia, and they their 15-year-old granddaughter. She lives with them, and they didn't want to leave her alone. So I spent 2 weeks with her. Shout out Emma. Love you.
For anybody that doesn't know, the Masters is golf.
Yes. I'm not a big golf fan, but they are huge golf people. Mm-hmm. So I would say Phoenix is probably the most beautiful place I've ever visited in my life. The sunsets out there.
Better than the Netherlands.
Yes.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
So I'm showing him my watch. The face is a sunset, not that one. This one. I took that gorgeous. Up a mountain. Like, I will never forget. And we used to go like once a year for Easter to see them. So I've been there many, many times, and it's a beautiful place. The Netherlands is beautiful in its own way. It has like the castles, and I will always associate it. Like, the time I was there, it was like, it's literally rose-colored glasses, because it was like a love-motivated trip, you know. But like I'm when I think beautiful, I think of like weather and scenery, and the weather there is kind of like the weather here, so it's not that great. Although they don't have snow. I was there in January and there was no snow, and it was really weird, because then I got back to Michigan and there was like a massive snowstorm.
You talking about Phoenix or Netherlands?
Netherlands, okay. But they also don't have snow in Phoenix. Yeah. But I have been to Disney World. My aunt paid for my family to go when I was 11. And I remember I had prayed, and this is such a Catholic school thing, I had prayed that I would get to go to Hogwarts when I turned 11. And then we went to Harry Potter World, so it worked out. Wow. And we went to Disney. And then I went to Disney again in high school for a choir trip. So it was also kind of like discounted, because going to Disney is quite expensive. So I've been to Florida. I've been to Phoenix. I've been to... Vermont is also stunning. Vermont is the only place I've ever seen the arm of the Milky Way, because it's so, where my cousin live, or my aunt and uncle live, is so far away from like a big city that you can see all of the stars. It's gorgeous. Wow. And I was deep in my astronomy phase. So that I've been in Jamaica, but I don't really remember it because I was really young for my aunt's wedding. I've been to Mexico several times. Playa del Carmen, which is just outside of Cancun. Tourist town, 100%. We used to go every year, and then the recession hit. So I think we went back one time after that, but that's my mother's side of the family, and we want to go again. And then, like I said, I've been to Europe. I've been to the Netherlands, and then briefly into Germany because I took the wrong exit on a roundabout.
Wow.
The only thing I saw was an Amazon warehouse. I was like, damn, we got that at home. Like, we have that in the U.S.
How was the food in America versus Europe? Do you remember?
Okay, we went to McDonald's because I wanted to see what it's like there. They had this weird sauce that they, like, only have in the Netherlands. I was like, what is going on here, Dutch people? It was okay. Like, my ex was like, you have to try it. It's phenomenal. I tried it. I'm like, sweetheart, this is not it. This is not it. Their cultural foods are, you know, when you think of classic European food, that's like, you tend to think of like Greek food or, actually, now I can't remember if Lebanon is in Asia or Europe, but either way, Mediterranean food, Italian food, you know, food from the south of Europe. You don't really think of Dutch food. No hate to Dutch people. I'm sorry. They have really good pastries. They have a I can't remember stroopwafel. I don't know if you've ever had that. It's fantastic.
A stroopwafel?
Yeah. Also, their language is so comical. And now that we're not together anymore, I can say this: Dutch. If you're Dutch and you're listening to this, your language is comical. It's like a cartoon character. What is it? Come on, be so for real. Like, it looks absurd. And if you get bent about that, I need you to like write out some words, look at them, and then come back to me. And if you're still mad, we can talk, but you won't be. Yeah, stroopwafel is really good.
What's the difference between a stroopwafel and a regular waffle?
Stroopwafel is like this weird. I'm gonna look it up for you because I can't really describe it. But it has this filling that it's so good. I also got weed in Amsterdam, and it was like it was not good. We got an edible. And it literally was not good. Like, I was pissed because it's supposed to be, like, the home of weed, and it was, like, not good. And, like, I've done edibles now that are, like, way better. Like, I didn't even feel anything. I think we got ripped off.
When you say it wasn't good, it didn't taste good or it didn't have the effect that you wanted?
It didn't have the effect I wanted.
Okay.
Like, I'm pretty sure we bought, like, the wrong thing or something. It looks like this. It's like a dried waffle.
Looks like a cookie.
It kind of is.
Wow.
But it has this filling that is so tasty.
So you like consuming stuff, or so you like getting filled up, okay.
Anthony, save this for the other podcast. Come on now. I actually have beef with filled donuts now that you mention that. I hate it. I want a donut. I like the actual, like, the dough part of donut, and when you get a filled donut, you get such little dough, and then you bite into it, and it, like, spills all over you, and you're like, ah! If I wanted this, I would have asked to... cut the mic.
I was definitely gonna say, like, so you did tell me you don't like making a mess, but
I don't like making a mess.
But I also don't like filled donuts. It's just weird. I've only had like a couple, and then it was like a weird experience.
Yeah, they're just not for me. I like regular donuts.
And
damn, now I really want a donut. Is anybody here? Where's in yours, Duncan?
So, with having you on this show and when I have guests on this show, I either ask in the beginning or the end or just somewhere in the middle. With the questions you've answered and just building up to the conversation we have now, I always ask my guests, and I'm going to ask you, if someone were to ask you, who is Elle Fromm, how would you answer?
You know, you told me that this is a question you ask on the podcast, and I was like, I'll have to prepare, and here I am unprepared. She is a work in progress. You know, she is... I'm going to quote another song. I quoted a bunch of songs in the last podcast. Here I am quoting more songs. There's a Kelsey Ballerini song called Subject to Change. And she says, if one thing's the same, it's that I'm subject to change. Because I think the only thing you can predict about somebody with 100% certainty is that they'll change. I love that quote.
I love that too.
No, but she is many things. She is a sister. Probably, you know, that's high up there on my list. I've got 2 sisters. I love them both dearly. We haven't always seen eye to eye on things, but it's interesting. I've talked to both my 2 best friends have sisters, and they're like, yeah, I'm not as close to my sister as you are to yours. Like, I love my sisters. I mean, they love their sisters, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so she's a sister. She's a daughter. I love my parents very dearly. My mom and dad, both wonderful, wonderful people. Sorry, I'm cracking my knuckles. I'll get this out of my system. ASMR. No. She's a girlfriend. That's not how I define myself, but it is up there. I love my boyfriend very much. She's a friend. One of the things people consistently tell me about myself is that I'm very friendly. I have been excluded from things before. I have been bullied, and I never want anyone to feel that way. So I do my best to always include people in conversations and ask, like, hey, like, tell me more about yourself. She is a journalist. I love journalism. I have loved journalism since I was in 8th grade, and I joined my middle school newspaper. Yeah. She's a music nerd. Not in, like, I don't like class. Like, I'm not going to go head-to-head with other people who define themselves that way because I don't I'm not, like, into classical or classic rock or anything like that. But I do listen to a lot of music, and I do think it defines my life a lot. Like, I have tons of playlists on my phone. It's crazy. Like, people are like, oh, I have a lot of playlists, and I show them mine, and they're like, what is this? I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, but I think if I had to end it, I would say she's a friend. Because like, when you introduce me to people sometimes that way, and I love it. Like, you introduced me to, I literally almost said Big Burnett. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Jesus, Miss Gordon, I'm sorry. And she just met me too. Jada and Janae's mom, who I just met. And you were like, this is our friend Elle. That's how you introduced me to Dante too. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I'm a friend. But yeah, I think friendship is one of the best things in life because it's chosen. Like, we don't get to choose our family, but we can choose if we're friends with them.
Yeah. We
don't get to choose. Like, there's so much we don't get to choose in our lives, but friendship is one of them. And my grandmother, shout out, Grandma, I love you with all my heart. She always says any good relationship starts with a friendship. Like, she showed me this. Is stuck with me. It's so profound. This was a couple years ago. She's got an iPhone. She's got a nicer iPhone than I do. She's very tech hip. Like, she's honestly really good at it for someone her age. She showed me this collage that you ever have your iPhone make, like, a collage of photos for you?
Not intentionally. Sometimes it'd be doing it, like, on his own.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Her phone put together this slideshow of photos of my grandfather, her husband. And she showed them, and she was, like, delighted, especially when she found out she could make it longer and have even more photos. She showed it to me, and she went, that's my buddy.
Aww.
And I thought, oh, my God, I want to look back at somebody after, I'm doing the math, like 50 years together and say to myself, that's my buddy. Like, that's what I want.
Yeah, that's the type of love that you can't even write in a book. Like, you just have to experience it. There's a song, again, another song by Jax called Like My Father, and she says, I need a man who loves me like my father loves my mom. And this isn't shade to my parents, but, like, when I think of that song, I think of my grandparents. Like, I want the relationship that my grandparents have. Yeah, they're just, like, I once saw them have an argument. I used to go over there twice a week my freshman year of college because I couldn't be on campus and I needed to study outside of my house. So I went over to my grandparents on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and I have seen them have arguments with each other about whether or not my grandpa had gone to the store that day. They were like, did I go to the store? Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Oh, yeah, I did. No, you didn't. Like, I was sitting there, like, I'm baffled. I'd be like, oh, like, and I'd been there all day, so I was like, oh my God, he didn't go to the store, but you guys talked about him going to the store, and they were like, oh, thank you. And I felt like, I want that to be the biggest problem in my relationship with my partner is that we can't remember if he went to the store. Definitely. And you mentioned your grandparents and your parents and your family in general.
Also, my other grandparents, my nanny and papa, who are my dad's parents, are amazing and so influential in my life. I mean, my paternal grandmother is probably the smartest woman I've ever met. This woman does the New York Times crossword in pen and never makes mistakes.
Wow.
And she has inspired me as, like, in terms of learning so much. She's always pushed me and, like, believed in me. And, like, I text her now, like, she's like a brilliant woman.
Mm-hmm. And, well, I'd want you to give, like, the positives of your family as well, because I know you're very family oriented. We was talking off the mic about, like, just your sisters and parents and everything, but I noticed that you didn't use your parents as an example as, like, a relationship that you'd want. And I didn't know if I heard you correctly, if you saying, like, your parents were, like, got divorced and like your mom and like,
No, my parents are not divorced.
Okay.
No, I said no shade to my parents. I said this isn't a detriment. That was the D word you might have heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, my parents are not divorced. My parents are still married. They've been married for 25 years now. And I remember their 25th anniversary. My dad told my mom, he was like, you've been married to me more years than you haven't. Because my mom was 24 when they got married.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty young.
How old was your dad, if you don't mind?
27.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 3 years apart. No, my parents have a good relationship. I didn't mean that as a like hate to them. I just think my grandparents and again my paternal grandparents, my aunts, not everybody, but I think when I think of relationships that stand out to me, it's my maternal grandparents.
Got you. Okay,
that I think of. Yeah, but no, my parents are together. I have 2 sisters. We had a dog when I was growing up, Freddie. May he rest in peace. Mm-hmm. Love that dog. Yeah. We have a cat. His name's Pippin. He's chaotic. He's evil. No, he's not. He is a menace. We call him Bitch Cat. Oh. And it became a song in my house. And I remember I was at college and I came back and all of a sudden my whole family was like, Bitch Cat, Bitch Cat, Bitch Cat, Bitch Cat. And yes, that's to Jolene that they sing to him because he's a bitch cat. And then we have a new puppy. Her name's Freya. Lily named her. I know. My dad and I wanted to name him something kind of stupid, like Schnitzel or something, but my dog is a girl. She's a little puppy. She's cute. I'm not a big dog person. I haven't been since my childhood dog died, but she's warming me back up to dogs.
That's great to hear. And just in general, more about your family. You could pick brother, mom, dad, sister. What is the relationship you have with them, and how does it stand out to you, like being in a 2-parent household or growing up in a 2-parent household and things you've taken away from your dad, mom, sister in general? Like, if you were to give like a verbal highlight reel of each person in your family, or like why they're important to you,
so what would you say? Oh my goodness, my family is just, like I said, we have our ups and downs, but they're such a huge part of my life. Like if I were a Sim, I would have the family oriented trait. I don't know if y'all play Sims, but that's a trait that they can have. We can start with my mom. My mom, when I was really young, I used to get told I look like my dad a lot, and I do. My sisters and I all do. But the older I get, the more I get told that I look like my mom. Like, it's to the point where every family gathering now, oh my God, you look so much like your mom. You look just like Julie. And I'm like, thank you, because my mom is beautiful. I love my mom. She has a huge, huge impact on my life. She is super, super smart, my mom is. She has, let's go through a highlight reel for my mom here. She has a bachelor's degree in dietetics from Michigan State University, graduated class of 92. Mm-hmm. She has a culinary degree from Schoolcraft College. I don't know what year that was, but she graduated top of her class, so she was a chef. She was the first female line chef at Rochester Chop House. That's a big deal. Then she was like, I'm going to have kids. So she had kids, and she was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. And then she was like, I should be a dietitian again, you guys. And we were like, okay, Mom. So she went back to being a dietitian. And then in 2018, she got her master's degree in public health. So she's awesome. Love her. And then my, give me a second.
You're good.
Yeah, so I look a lot like my mother. My mom, I'm very grateful for my mom. My gratefulness, appreciation, that's what I'm looking for my parents grows a lot in moments where I hear other people tell me stories about their parents, which isn't to say, like I said, my parents are not always perfect. They have done some things where I'm like, why would you do that? But like one thing my mom always said was, don't apologize, fix your behavior. So even now, if I like mess up.
First of all, shout out your mom for that. Just that statement, man, we can be here that could be a whole episode. But
yep. But even like,
matter of fact, I'm gonna write that down for an episode. I'm gonna do just that quote.
But the thing is that she, like, if you did say, "Mom, I'm sorry," she would say, "Don't, like, I don't want to hear that." So she'd be like, "I don't want to hear your apology. Fix your behavior." So even now, if I mess up and I forget to apologize, it is not because I'm rude. It's because I was told as a kid not to. Mm. That just fix what you did wrong. So that's what she always says. But the things that have stuck with me is I've heard a lot of, particularly of my female friends, because my friends are usually mostly women, always have been. They are very they will sometimes talk about their relationship with their body and the comments that their mothers have made, and it makes me so grateful for my mom. Like, Mom, I don't know if she'll listen to this, but Mom, I love you so much for so many reasons. But my mom never, ever said anything about my weight, my appearance, my eating habits. Like, I wasn't allowed to have a lot of junk food, and that kind of has affected me, but that wasn't really her fault. She would always say, listen to your body, and like, yeah, I never felt insecure or anything about my body. It was never from her. Like, the insecurity I felt was kind of natural part of being a teenage girl, you know. But she never made me feel that way, and I've always been so unbelievably grateful for that. Highlight reel for my dad. He did not go to college. I'm just bringing this up not because it's relevant, but because I did it for my mom. He has worked the same sales job 25 years. Love that man. And he is a great example to me for people who find full happiness and, you know, love of life outside of their career. Because he's been married to my mom for over 25 years. He's got the three of us, my sisters and I. His garden. His nickname is Tomato Bob.
Oh.
Like, I'm not. That's like his email address. Don't spam him, please. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. He and I are very, very similar. So, you know how sometimes I've heard people say, oh, I've never seen my dad cry. I've never seen my mom cry. My dad cries once a week. This man cries. My dad, this is not a joke. My dad cries at every episode of Queer Eye.
Oh, what's that?
It's a TV show. It was on a while ago, and then they brought it back with 5 new people. It's like Queer Eye for the straight guy, so it's like 5 gay men. Although I think Jonathan Van Ness identifies as non-binary, so. And they, like, give one, each week they give, like, one person a makeover. Like, one person does hair, one person does fashion, one of them's, like, a life coach, one of them does, like, design. Yeah, it's, wait. Oh, I'm forgetting one. Anthony, he's a chef. He talks about, like, food. And, yeah, oh my God, I forgot the one named Anthony. That's crazy. So so my dad loves that show, and he cries every single time he watches it. It's crazy. I'm like, Dad, every episode? Like, some of them I get, but every episode, come on. So, yeah, but my dad and I are very similar people. We both cry a lot. We both love outlaw country music. Willie Nelson, shout out Willie Nelson. Yeah, we share a love of music. My dad is just such just a loving person. Like, people get thrown when I use this word, but it's something my great-grandmother, my grandma Rachel, she died when she was 102, so I knew her for quite a bit, actually. Yeah, she died in her sleep peacefully at 102. That's how I want to go. When she was this is not a joke. When she was 97, she broke her neck and made a full recovery.
That is a blessing.
It was insane. She was a wonderful person. So she used to call people lover, but she didn't mean it in a romantic way. She meant it as in one who loves. So she would call her kids that and her grandkids that. So my dad calls me that. He calls my mom that. He calls his mom that. You know what I mean? He just uses that word. So, and he, like, my dad is somebody who is very full of love, like a very loving person. And that's so clear in everything he does. He's an amazing father. Shout out my dad. Dad, if you're listening to this, I love you. He's probably crying right now if he listens to this. I'm being so for real. I just talked about him crying. He's like sobbing, crying, throwing up. No. Oh my God. One time this is so off topic. One time I texted my dad crying and throwing up, and he responded with pointing and laughing.
A dog.
Which, feel free, anyone listening, to use that as your response. But he was like pointing and laughing. I'm like, why would you say that, Dad? So, no, my dad is great. He's big into gardening. His hobby is heirloom tomatoes. This man loves heirloom tomatoes. He likes fishing. Yeah, awesome person. Next up, my older sister, Mary, who would never listen to the full length of this episode, but would fast forward to the part where I talked about her. My sister is one of, if not the most ambitious, impressive, like, her work ethic is insane. One of the most ambitious people I know. It is crazy how driven she is, and it is so impressive to see. We don't always see eye to eye. She'll be the first person to tell you. We like to say we get along when it's just the two of us, but as soon as other people get involved, we start fighting. Like, it fights, like... She doesn't support the auto worker strike. Mary, I'm not ashamed of putting you on blast. I need you to get it together, please.
For those and me who don't know what that is.
The United Auto Workers are on... the UAW, yeah. Sorry, I say W. It makes me laugh. The United Auto Workers are on strike right now because of unfair working conditions from the big three, Ford, GM, and she works in connection to the automotive industry. So she does not support unions in this capacity and does not support the strike, and it's embarrassing because union's strong. Our great-grandfather was a member of a union. Okay, he was actually the head of a union at a steel mill in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
I know. So, come on. But that's just an example of the kind of thing we fight about. Yes, but I love my sister very, very much. She, like I said, is incredibly driven, incredibly... Like, I don't think I've ever met anybody who works as hard as she does.
Really?
She puts her all... Like, So, my dad works for a company, and they have, like, a sister company that sells, like, construction clothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, my dad got her a job working there in retail when she was like 17. Within 2 years, she was an executive at the company with an office on the second floor that was bigger than his.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and
impressive.
Then she went to work for my Uncle Moose, who's not really my uncle, and his name's not Moose, so don't really know how that started. And she's a project manager there, and she's been promoted like a bunch in a very short period of time because she is that driven and that successful. So... And she's a good person outside of the work she does. Because, I mean, I've seen in Kanto, we are worth more than what we give to others. But that's what's most, like, highlight reel. That's what's most striking about her is that. She also takes no shit from anybody, and I think that's impressive. No, it's true. Like, she will not. It's cool to see. Next up, my baby sister, my Squee. Squee, if you're listening, love you. What stands out to me about Lillian most, and this is in relation to me, but I guess we're talking about me, she is so supportive. So when I did theater in high school, and this was for drama club through my school and also for the Shakespeare productions I was a part of, she came to every show. Wow. And not every show, like every night of the show, because the show will usually run for 3 or 4 nights. She would come to every single one.
Wow.
And I have had I've had many people in my life who are supportive and wonderful because my older sister never came. She's real for that. But my parents, my grandparents would come. But I have never had anybody show up and show out for me the way that she does. And it means so much to me. My darling Squee. She's awesome. She's so cool. Her name is not Squee. Her name's Lillian. But I call her Squee because I was 5 when she was born. I brought her in for show and tell for Elle Week at school. I was like, this is this baby. She lives in my house. Mm-hmm. When my parents first told me that she was going to be born, I cried. We were in church, and they were like, we're having a new sister, and I started crying. And my dad was like, you'll get to help with the baby. And I famously went, I don't want to help. I want to play. Yeah. So I came around, though. She was born. I was obsessed with her when she was a baby. And I had a bunch of nicknames for her. And here's what you need to understand about Lily. She was so bald for so long. And it's not that she had a big head. She just, like, all babies our heads are really unproportional to their bodies. Like, for those of you who don't know this, when a baby is born, their head accounts for half of their weight. If you've ever seen a baby grab their little baby arms and try to put them above their head because they can't reach because that's how big their little heads are. I know that's an oxymoron, but I stand by it. So she had it's not just that she had a huge head, it's that she was so bald that it made her head look big. So I had a bunch of nicknames, and she had huge chubby cheeks too. Oh. She's the cutest baby I've ever seen in my life. Like, I truly don't think that will be topped until I have a baby.
You've never seen a baby picture of me, but I mean, it's like, no,
I'm gonna find a picture of baby Lily because she was adorable. So she, so I called her. One of my nicknames for her was Squishy. Oh. And I used to. Sorry, I just got a 1 year ago notification of this selfie Jada took on my phone.
Haha, dog. We love Jada.
Yes, we do love Jada here. So my darling Squee, was, I used to put SQ in front of everything when I would talk about her. So, like, I'd be like, have you finished your squood? And that would be like squishy food. So,
that sounds so cute.
As I say it doesn't really make much sense, but.
What's the age gap between y'all?
Lily and I have 5 years.
And then
Mary is 2 years older. So here's a more recent. This is me and my sisters this summer.
16, 21, and
23.
23. All right. So, for obviously the people who can't see what Elle just showed me.
It's a photo of me and my sisters. Very recent. That was taken last month.
Oh, wow. Oh. Looking
What?
at y'all look exactly alike. Like all three of y'all look exactly alike.
We get that a lot.
And that color is really pretty on you. Is it
Thank
burgundy?
you. Yeah, so it's like burgundy maroon. It was for my great aunt's wedding, which was really chaotic because we all ended up getting COVID after it. But
Oh. And then I like their like similar dresses. I thought I was about to say matching dresses, but I see the differences. But they're so pretty.
yes, we are.
Y'all a tall family too.
You say
well,
tall?
tallish, yeah. Or do your sister got on heels or something?
She has on heels, but I'm 5'4",
and then you're 5'4",
and Lily's
and
5'2".
then- Okay.
But she's not done growing yet, and she slouches in photos. Lily, I'm sorry. She got mad when I told her that once. You're still my squee. You just got to stand up straight. I'm trying to find a baby photo of Lily because Lily was a really, really cute baby. She was so small.
I love
this. Is her.
And she shows me this. Aww. I had to notice which one was Lily. Who's the other one? Was that you?
Yeah, that's another one of me and my sisters and our. You can swipe.
So as she shows me these, I really love. I'm talking to you, but and the audience, whoever listening, I really love. Y'all look exactly alike. Jesus Christ! But I love hearing about you talk about your family because I see the joy it brings when you talk about them. And I just love hearing about it, and the fact that y'all look like triplets is also just crazy.
Well, okay, Lily's young enough that I don't think we look like triplets, but we used to get told this was.
It's like she looks like a baby y'all. Like she looks like a baby.
Mary and I used to get confused for triplets. This was us at her first communion, which is a big deal because she got to wear the same communion dress that Mary and I had both worn.
Aww, we love the tradition. Is that your mama?
Where? No, that's Mary.
Oh, that's me. I'm about to say y'all all y'all look exactly alike. Jeez, I know I've met your mom on the phone, but I can't.
People have told the thing is people are like, wow, you look like your dad and your mom. My parents just look like each other. That's why that is. Like the reason we look like them is because
picture of your parents.
I do.
Specific, either them together or dad.
I do.
Whichever.
Give me a second. Oh god.
Yeah.
So back to my squee highlight roll because she's the last person I'm gonna talk about. This is one of my favorite photos of her. My older sister played volleyball. This is my favorite Lily story. Oh, maybe not my favorite, but it's definitely up there. No, the gag is that's the other team. She walked up to the team and started giving them this halftime pep speech. And they were all, y'all can't see the photo, but they were all intent. Like, they were really listening to her. And then, like, somebody had to come up to her and be like, Lily, that's not Mary's team. She's over there. So that was, let me find one of my mom. My dad he has the same, oh, wait, no, here's a great one of my dad and Lily. Everybody's been sharing those memes of, I can't think of his name right now. But that guy with his arms crossed smiling, yeah, that's Squee. Even in the photo, she's so furious. It's for those of you, it's a picture of my dad giving my sister a kiss when she was a baby, and she looks furious in it. But she had such squishy cheeks. We all had to give her kisses. She was such a cute baby. Wait, let me show you this photo of my dad because I sent it to me and my sisters. Have you seen this meme that's been going around?
Yes.
So every time I see it, it makes me think of my dad because this is my dad. That's the same photo.
So the meme she showed me was I forget his actual name, but Paul Blart. He making the face he make. First of all, hilarious.
Yeah.
But that's a nice hoodie jacket. The tigers.
Yes, that's we call that hoodie community property because we all wear it.
Wow.
Like even now he's accepted. He'll be like, "Have you seen the community hoodie?" This is a great one of my dad. We were at a wedding, and he put on the groomsman's tie. Or not the groomsman, the ring bearer, the child. So it's him wearing a little baby tie.
Dog.
Here's one of, where is it? Here. My mom is the person sitting next to me. So yes, highlight reel on my sisters. Little one, incredibly supportive, just such a kind soul. My big sister, so ambitious, so driven, so impressive.
Such a pretty family picture. And at first, I was confused. You said the person sitting next to you, there's two people on the side of you. But looking at the picture, that got to be your mama.
Yep, that's my mama.
Like identical.
We look so similar. Like, it is crazy. Oh, here's one of my parents when they were younger.
Aww. Again, look just like you still. Crazy.
Yep.
That's so cute.
My mom, especially because my mom and neither of my sisters wear glasses, but I do.
Mm-hmm.
So we all look real similar. Here's one. This is my dad with a fish.
I like bringing it closer.
We went fishing for Father's
It's also
Day.
cool. He likes fishing because I used to be in a high school club called the Young Gentlemen's Club. Shout out Young Gentlemen's Club. And
That's so cool. We never had anything like that.
one of the trips we took was to go fish, and I fished at least a couple of times. And I remember we fished for trouts, and it was so cool.
That's another one of my parents when they were younger. They both look miserable in the photo. It's so funny. And I showed that to my dad, and my dad was like, see, that's why I fell in love with your mom, because my mom's wearing a fanny pack for those who can't see it. And he was like, my dad was like, she was so practical. If you got hungry, she maybe had like a little snack in there for you. I'm like, truly, the way to a man's heart. And then here's one. That was my sister's high school graduation. I'm trying to find one that is more. No, Mary's not in that. Well, I'll show you that one anyway. This is when my mom got her master's degree. That's at the Breslin. Shout out my mom again.
Oh, she got her bachelor's and master's at MSU?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And such a lovely photo. Y'all all look alike.
That's basically when people see family. I don't know if you've seen my laptop screensaver, but it's us at a wedding. We all look the same. Like we have the same face. And if you see, here's another one that you got to see. Let me find this one. This is my dad's side of the family. My extended. This is where you can really see that we look the same. Because I've got on my mom's side, I have.
Wow, whoever this is looks like Lily.
That's my grandfather.
Okay.
We all have his face.
That's you right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why, you know who Bridget Mendler is? Good Luck Charlie.
Thank you.
Like that spitting image in this picture.
Thank you.
And then
when I was 14, somebody told me I look like Blake Lively, and I think about it all the time.
Who?
Blake Lively, the actress.
I don't know.
Gossip Girl, Ryan Reynolds' wife. She's
okay,
stunning.
all that sounds familiar. I can't think of the person. Who is this? She pretty.
That's Mary. That's my older sister.
Oh, that's Mary? Oh yeah, she pretty.
Thank you.
Y'all all definitely do look alike.
Even my cousin Claire looks exactly like me. My cousin Claire just looks like the half Mexican version of me. And I say that not because I'm white and that's the default, but because I'm older. And because her mom is Mexican. But this is wait, let me find this. Shout out Claire. I still have your hoodie, girl. I'm sorry. I wore it today to work. I'm sorry. This is when my dad had to get surgery for his ear.
Oh god.
He's like all loopy.
He looks over it.
he looks so dazed. Yeah, so those are some family photos. I feel bad for the audience because they can't see, but they're good photos. Trust me.
But with that being said, this has been a remarkable interview. We can keep going. We almost about to hit the 2-hour mark, by the way. We had an hour 40.
No way.
We're at an hour 40
Nah, I gotta get going. You got so much editing to do. We'll have to do a second interview.
Well, see, usually, and we definitely have to get a part 2. Usually, I don't edit my personal podcast, especially if we don't mess up a lot, because I like to keep the natural feel. Plus, I don't think we messed up too much. But we're definitely gonna have to bring you back for a part 2 because there's still so many questions I want to ask you on the mic and get your perspective of. But with that being said, as I say always, especially with this one, I haven't posted a podcast episode since May.
Oh my!
And life has been lifing, for lack of better words, and it's been a lot of ups, downs. But with all of that, I appreciate the audience that stays with me and the people who encourage me to keep going with this. And if you guys want to hear more of me, I'm gonna plan on posting this episode in a bunch because usually when I take long hiatuses, I try to post multiple episodes at once. And as you hear the end, that shows how long we've been recording just in total.
Okay, it's not just me. Anthony's been yawning, but he's been putting his hand over his mouth every time, so it's not just me.
Yeah, for this date to mark it on the recording is September 29th. I've been up since 7 in the morning, and it's been I went to class, work, I'm exhausted, and I've barely eaten exhausted. And I gotta pee. I've been holding in my pee for this whole past 40
The audience
years.
does not need to know this.
Listen, and just in general, I thank y'all so much. And if you want to hear more of me, I have been consistent in podcasting in general. Just my own podcast is kind of taking a hit.
Because you've been doing so many other ones.
This is the 5th podcast, a part of the State News, and I'm a part of 3 of them. I'm a part of this, All Shades of Chocolate, and Sports Roundtable, our sports podcast of the State News.
Oh, I didn't know you were on Sports Roundtable.
Yeah, as of this semester, I'm part of Sports Roundtable with one of the new hires here. His name's Deshaun Johnson and Thomas Cobb. And how it went, I guess this will be the ending story for this episode. Our new editor-in-chief, Morgan. Shout out Morgan.
Shout out Morgan.
Awesome.
She's amazing.
She brought the idea to me of being the host of Sports Roundtable because the previous host, Bella Johnson, and the last name Johnson, right? Bella.
Yeah.
Bella Johnson. And
I just got a Slack notification, but with her name.
Perfect timing. And Nick Lundberg, they weren't able to host anymore because they had done it and then they got into higher positions and then like time and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Morgan asked me to do it, and I was like, it seems like a really cool idea, but I'm not really into college sports like that.
That's
and
what I was gonna
watch
say.
a lot of MSU sports like that, so I was concerned I'd hold the podcast back. But she was like, well, I feel that just your energy and just like who you are, and plus I've seen like you under like some tweets of like sports tweets, like I feel like you'll be suited for the position. And I'm like, okay, bet. So I had this idea in mind, like I'll be a host, but I don't want to do it alone. And I wanted, with being in position of podcast coordinator and being someone who's worked at the State News for a while, I wanted to give people a platform and give them the opportunity to shine. And Deshaun Johnson, I've known him for a while. He's my friend, and this is his first year at the State News. And
was he at the Halloween party?
He was not.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't remember Deshaun.
And I met him in Journey 203, what I was talking about earlier from Jeremy. And by the way, I'm just not realizing I think the class is called visual storytelling, and I said digital storytelling earlier.
So I don't know. I'm not cut out to be a photojournalist. That's what that class made me realize. I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, and it was up and down. That class up and down. That's a whole nother story. But
yeah.
His first year at the State News, and I thought he's had a lot of work. Like he's done work with like Peacock, the streaming service, NBC, MSU, Spartan Report, whatever it's called. Deshaun Johnson.
What?
Yeah, he's
my God,
such an awesome guy, and he's just like an awesome guy, like personality wise.
I've literally
as well.
never even heard of him, let alone met him.
And
I'm slacking him. Hey,
statements like
you're
that.
Cool. You want to be friends?
Statements like that are the reason why I wanted to give him the platform, because I wanted to be someone like, when I got brought into the State News, people believed in me, and Samaya, Jada, and Shakira believed in me to take this position, and I wanted to give that same light to someone else. So I brought Deshaun on to be a host, and then there was another guy, the other co-host, Thomas Cobb, who Morgan suggested that, hey, he hasn't really done podcasting here before, but he's really into sports, and I think you should give him a shot. And I talked to him, and ever since then, I feel like it's been such a great decision to have Sports Roundtable as us three. But if you want to hear more of me, check out the State News. I think all the podcasts of the State News are officially on Apple Podcasts and Spotify both, including All Shades of Chocolate, because there was some technical issues where we hadn't been on there yet. But try and join me there. See if you guys tune in to Going Deeper. We're going to try and have our first episode of posted next week, Friday, and hopefully also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But if not, it'll be on the State News website. But all in all, I'm so grateful for y'all. I'm so grateful for the audience that joins me with these. I'm so grateful for you, Elle. Again, I really appreciate it. We're definitely going to have to bring you back for part 2. And with that being said, if you have anything on your mind, go ahead and tell me. I really appreciate you guys for being here. And next time you'll get to find out anything else that's on my mind. Thank you, and have a good rest of your day.
I like your outro. What's the name of your podcast again? I forgot.